Hello to you out there. Good day. Today I want to demonstrate to you launching an instance on Openstack Newton. This is January 2017. The latest stable release of Openstack is the Openstack Newton, and I will be demonstrating to you how to launch an instance on it. So I logged in to my Openstack installation. The version I have is the Openstack Newton. So, if you have a lot of projects, you can click here and select the project you want. I am here and I'm going to click admin. On under admin, or I'll go to compute and instances. So, I will be also an important thing that I will also be demonstrating to you is the use of cloud init. The cloud init can be used to modify your OpenStack instance at launch. So during launch, you can do a lot of things on your instance. And one important fact with that is you have the root privilege. You can do everything you want at that point on your instance. For example, this is an instance that of Cloud Init that I have uh, for my instances. So what do I have here? I have that I can run command to install packages, to start services, enable services. I can create a user. I can uh, inject an SSH public key into the also authorized key file for that user. I can upgrade the packages on the system. I can install even more packages. And at the end of the day, when all these operations are done, I can do a reboot of that instance. So you can do what you can do depends on what you want. For example, if you are launching 100 instances and you want those instances to have a particular user, or this is a good way to make sure if the user you want is created and maybe you need them to have a particular SSH keys. You can inject your SSH keys into those instances. This might be a better way rather than having something like a golden image to modify your instance at launch. So let's get to it. Let's go to the dashboard. So on my dashboard, I click launch instance. So uh, this pops up. So I'm going to give the instance name to be server 2. I already have a server named server 1. So this is all I have to do here. Or if I want to create more than one instance, I can put the number here, but I want to create one. Also the availability zone, if you have more than one availability zone, you can select. So I click next. So source is the source of the image or of the instance. Where do you want to launch it from? If you want to launch it from an image, from a snapshot, or volume snapshot. Another thing that you'll see here is this option to create volumes. So if so you this gives you option to create an additional Cinder volume and attach it to your instance at boot at launch. But you have to be careful with the size of the volume. If you put a smaller size than what your instance requires, your launching is going to fail. So here I'm actually going to say no, but I will add the instance I want to use is the CentOS image. The source I'm going to use is the CentOS image. So after this, I click next. The flavor is how big or how small do I want my instance to be. You can go from you can have, depending on your environment, you can have other flavors, but these are the standard OpenStack flavors. And you have to keep in mind the flavor you are going to use should have enough um, disk space, especially to handle the operating system you choose. So if you choose a very tiny flavor for operating system that requires more than 1 gig, then your launch is going to fail. So here I'm actually going to select medium. So medium, I have two virtual CPUs, 4 gig of RAM, total disk is 40 gig, root disk is 40 gig, ephemeral disk is 0, and I'm saying okay, this is public. So this is a public flavor actually. I click next. On the next, I have to select my network. What kind of network do I want to attach to the interface? So I have a couple of networks here. So depending on your environment, you have to select your network. So I select my int network. So uh, I have this. Next, network ports. So network ports is if you have a particular network port that you created earlier, or those ports are going to show up here if those kind of ports exist. But I don't have any ports in existence. So I'm going to click next. Next is the security group. Here, the default security group is the only thing I have. If you have other security groups, they are going to show up on this page. But I have the only default security group and it is attached by default. So I click next. Next is key pairs, the SSH key pairs. So or you have to so SSH key is one of the best ways to access your instances. So if you don't have an SSH keys, you can create one. So there's an option for you to create. So I'll create key pair, or I'll say just the key, that is the golden key, or create key pair. So you see, the private key was downloaded for me automatically. So the private key, you are going to have opportunity to download it at this point only. If you don't download it at this point, you're not going to have access to this key anymore. So you can see it said note, you will not be able to download this key later. So keep that in mind. I can add the key to my instance. I click next. So this is the customization script. So this is you can use this customization script is where the cloud init comes in. It is called user data. So the user data can actually be the cloud init format that I have here, or it can actually also be a shell script. So if you want to type a shell script, you can like give the path to the shell you want and type your shell script here. But I am going to use the user script, the cloud init that I have here. I copied it and I paste it here. You can actually also load it from a file, but I'm pasting it. So this is going to all these operations are going to be done on my instance uh, during this launch. Next is server groups. So if you have server groups that you've created before, they're going to be available here. I don't have any, so I click next. Uh, and one important thing, if you don't understand what is going on, you can actually click the help. So here the help says scheduler int allows you to pass additional placement related information to the compute scheduler. So I'm not going to do anything here. So I'm going to click next. Metadata. Metadata are like information about, they are like key pair value. So that give you more information about the particular instance. I don't have any here, but you can add one. So for example, let's say I want to say that the HTTPD version that I'm going to install on this machine is going to be 2.4.14. I will add it. Sorry. I'm supposed to, let me remove this actually. I'm supposed to say httpd underscore version. This is the value. And here I give it, this is the key. Sorry, httpd is the key. The value is 2.4.14. So this can be, uh, uh, no, this metadata are actually very informative to you. That can it can allow you to quickly look up this instance if there are a lot of instances. Or another one I can say is I can say or maybe this is a web server. Indicate that this is a web server, and maybe it's here add true. That true. This is a web server. So those are the metadata. So having done all this, we are ready to launch our instance. So you will see on this dashboard, some of these options are not mandatory actually, but some of them are mandatory. So if you click on something like networks, network is mandatory, source is mandatory, details is mandatory. Metadata is actually not mandatory, configuration is not mandatory, but it depends on what you want to do. It gives you opportunity to do more than the minimum required. So after giving all the uh, options that we want to add, we click on launch. So it is going to launch our instance. So now we wait for it to launch. So you see it says server 2 or the task. So this is the operation that is going on right now. It's spawning. This is the name of the image we used. It assigned an IP address of 192.168.1.6 or the medium. So right now it say this instance has no state, so it is still spawning it. Let's give it a couple of uh, minutes or seconds. But one thing we can do while we wait for it to spawn is associate and a floating IP. A floating IP is an IP that enables you to access the instance from an external source. The IP that we attached earlier was an internal IP. With this IP, we are not going to be able to access this instance from outside. So we'll click here and say SSH floating IP. So here, if we have any floating IP in existence, we can select from here. If not, we click the add button to create a new floating IP or allocate IP. We wait and say associate. So now we have associated the floating IP to this instance. There are other actions you can take on this instance will be available for you here. You have to keep in mind the options that will be available for you here depends on the kind of right that you have. I am logged in into this cloud via as a administrator. If you are not the administrator of your cloud, you won't have a lot of these options. Some options will be taken away from you. So if you don't see all these options, uh, you have to keep that in mind. So we have launched our instance. We can click on the instance actually, so get more details. So you see, these are the details that was associated with this instance. Um, and we can go to log. Log will tell you what is going on right now, or what is running on the instance. We can click on console. So with the console, if you need to console into the system, you can do this. Action log is actions like maybe create, shut down, restart that was done on this instance. So I think those are the essential things that are associated with launching an instance on OpenStack. Maybe one quick thing I can show to you is maybe to attach a volume. Let's say we want to attach a sender volume to this instance. We can go to volumes here, or under volumes, we can say create volume. Or you can create it volume, let's say volume 2. Uh, so our type is iSCSI, size is 1 GB, and create. Wait for it to create the volume. So the volume is created. So we'll go under the drop down and say manage attachments. Under the manage attachment, we select the instance we want to associate this volume with. We want to associate with server 2, attach volume, or wait. So let's go back to the uh, instance. Actually, okay, if we click the instance again, see now we see volumes attached. Volume 2 was attached as dev, that's /dev/vdb. So if we log in into this server, we'll see that this volume is actually available. Actually, let's log into this server. Since I have associated a floating IP, we can connect to this server from outside. So SSH. So the username that I created from the cloud Init is India. The floating IP. So you remember I injected an SSH key. Remember here I injected an SSH key. So the private key, I have it. I'm going to use it to log in. So you see, and I'm waiting to log in to the instance. So this is one way to modify. So I am logged in to modify the behavior of your instance. So you don't need to worry about the default name that came with the image, or the default or name or default password. You can create your own name and password and easily log in with a particular key that you have. So if I do ls block, so you see this is the volume that we attached to this instance. So I think this is enough for this video. I will make other videos about what you can do on OpenStack. Thank you for watching. I hope you benefited from this video. So see you later in some other videos. Take care. Bye.